Clara and the Galaxy Inside a Shell. Clara loved walking on the beach. Every morning, she went to the shore when the world was quiet. She liked the sound of the waves as they rolled in and out. She liked the cool wind that brushed against her face. She liked leaving footprints in the soft, wet sand. One quiet morning, Clara walked slowly along the edge of the water. The sky was pale, and the sea looked calm. Tiny shells and bits of seaweed were scattered across the sand. Clara stopped now and then to look at them. Then she saw something different. Near the water's edge, half buried in the sand, was a shiny shell. Clara's eyes grew wide. It was round and smooth, and it glowed softly, almost like it held a tiny light inside. Clara bent down and brushed the sand away. She picked up the shell with both hands. The moment she touched it, she felt surprised the shell was warm, not cold like the other shells. She turned it over and looked at it carefully. It was very smooth and bright, as if someone had polished it just for her. Clara held the shell close to her face and smiled. She had never seen anything like it. Then, without thinking, she lifted the shell to her ear. She had done this many times before with normal shells. Usually, she heard the soft sound of the sea, but this time, what she heard made her stop and listen very carefully. It was not the sound of the ocean. It was something softer, gentler, and sweeter. It sounded like stars singing far away in the sky. The sound was light and pretty, like tiny bells ringing in the distance. Clara stood very still and listened, not wanting the sound to stop. Her heart beat faster. She held the shell tighter in her hand. It felt warm, as if it was alive. Clara knew this was not an ordinary shell. It was something very special. She stayed there by the edge of the water, holding the glowing shell to her ear and listening to the soft, starry song. Clara kept the shell close to her ear. The soft sound was still there, like stars singing far away. She listened even closer, holding her breath so she would not miss a thing. Then she heard something new. A tiny voice whispered from inside the shell. "Inside me is a galaxy," the voice said softly. "But it is asleep," Clara gasped. Her eyes grew wide, and she held the shell out in front of her. She looked at it carefully. Was she really hearing a voice? The shell glowed gently in her hand, as if it was answering her question. Clara slowly brought the shell closer to her face and peeked inside. What she saw made her mouth open in wonder. Tiny lights were moving inside the shell. They were very small, like dust, but they glowed like little stars. Some lights moved slowly. Some spun around in tiny circles. Clara felt like she was looking at the night sky, only much closer. She had never seen anything so beautiful. Then the voice spoke again. "To wake the galaxy," it said, "you must be gentle and kind." Clara nodded slowly. She understood that the lights inside the shell were not just lights. They were sleeping stars, waiting for someone to help them wake up. Clara pressed the shell gently to her chest. "I will try," she whispered. Her promise was quiet but full of care. The shell glowed a little brighter in her hand, as if it had heard her words. Clara smiled. She felt warm inside. This was no ordinary shell, it was something magical, and it had trusted her with its secret. Clara held the shell close one more time and listened to the faint song of stars. She knew she had to keep her promise. Clara held the shell carefully in both hands. She walked slowly along the beach, making sure not to drop it. The shell still glowed softly, and Clara could feel its warmth against her palms. She wanted to keep her promise to be gentle and kind, so the galaxy inside could wake up. As she walked, Clara looked around carefully, searching for a way to help. Soon, she saw something near the water. A small crab was stuck under a piece of driftwood. Its little legs moved quickly, trying to get free, but the wood was too heavy. Clara knelt down in the sand. She put the shell down beside her very gently, then wrapped both hands around the piece of wood. She pushed with all her strength until the wood rolled away. The crab scurried out quickly and ran back toward the sea. Clara smiled. When she picked up the shell again, she saw that it was glowing brighter than before. The tiny lights inside twinkled a little faster, like they were happy. Clara felt happy too. She kept walking along the beach, looking for more ways to help. Not far from where she had freed the crab, Clara heard a soft sound. It was a weak little chirp. She followed the sound and soon saw a small bird sitting in the sand. Its wing looked hurt. Clara walked slowly so she would not scare it. She spoke in a soft voice. "It's okay. I will help you." She picked the bird up gently and held it close so it would feel safe. Clara looked around until she saw a small nest on a rock nearby. She climbed carefully and placed the bird back in its nest. The bird chirped softly again, and Clara smiled. When she looked at the shell in her hand, it was shining even brighter now. The glow made the sand around her look golden. Each kind thing she did seemed to make the little stars inside the shell come to life a little more. Clara knew she had to keep going, keep being gentle, and keep helping whenever she could. She walked slowly down the beach, holding the glowing shell close to her heart, ready to find the next way to show kindness. Clara walked back to the shore, holding the shell close to her chest. The sky was turning soft and golden as the sun began to set. The waves rolled in gently, touching her feet as she stepped near the water. Then, Clara heard a new sound. The shell in her hands began to hum. It was a soft, gentle sound, like music played far away. Clara stopped and held the shell up in front of her face. It glowed brighter than ever. She slowly brought it closer and peeked inside. What she saw made her heart jump with joy. Inside the shell were hundreds of tiny stars. They were no longer still. They were spinning together, moving in soft circles like a dance. Clara's eyes grew wide as she watched. The little stars glowed and sparkled, filling the shell with light. Then they began to make shapes. First, they made swirls, curling around each other like ribbons of light. Then they made waves, rising and falling as if they were copying the sea. After that, they formed bright patterns, just like the stars Clara saw in the night sky. It was like holding a tiny galaxy in her hands. Clara felt her heart grow warm and full. Her face lit up with a big smile. She had done it. She had woken the galaxy inside the shell. She held it up high so the sky could see it glow. The little stars spun faster and brighter, filling the shell with a soft, golden light. Clara stood very still, watching them, not wanting the moment to end. It felt like the stars were dancing just for her. The sound of the waves and the soft humming of the shell made the moment feel even more magical. Clara hugged the shell close to her chest again and whispered, "You are awake now." The shell hummed a little louder, as if it was happy too. Clara sat down on the sand and kept looking inside, watching the tiny galaxy spin and shine. She knew she would never forget this night. Clara sat by the water, holding the glowing shell close. The stars inside spun gently, their light shining brighter and brighter. Then the tiny voice spoke once more. "You woke the galaxy with your kindness." Clara's eyes grew wide. She listened carefully as the shell hummed in her hands. The little stars inside began to spin faster. They twinkled and shone until the whole shell looked full of golden light. Clara held it up and watched as the lights swirled together in a bright circle. Then, slowly, the lights began to rise. One by one, they floated out of the shell and into the night sky. Clara gasped as she saw them drift higher and higher. They spread out above her like sparks of fire. Soon, they became real stars in the sky, glowing with gentle light. The beach grew brighter as the sky filled with new stars. Clara held the shell tightly. It was no longer humming. The galaxy had gone to the sky. But when Clara looked inside, she saw that one tiny light still remained. It glowed softly, like a little candle waiting just for her. The voice whispered one last time, "This light is for you. Keep it close. It will remind you of the galaxy you helped awaken." Clara smiled, her heart warm and full. She pressed the shell against her chest. She knew she would never forget this moment. She would never forget the galaxy that once lived inside a small, glowing shell. That night, Clara walked home slowly with the shell safe in her hands. Every step she took, she felt the tiny light shining inside. From that day on, whenever she felt unsure, she looked at the shell and remembered. Kindness had the power to wake even the sleeping stars, and Clara never forgot the galaxy inside the shell. Moral lesson: kindness has power. Even small acts of care can bring light to the world. Clara's gentle heart showed that being kind can wake stars, bring joy, and make the universe shine brighter. Did you enjoy Clara's magical story about the galaxy inside the shell? Follow for more heart-touching children's adventures full of wonder and lessons. Subscribe so you never miss the next magical story. Many more are waiting for you.